Coming up tonight on Gridiron Glory, West End looks to lock up their first conference title in 18 years. It's win or go home for McLean as they welcome in Hillsborough. And in our game of the week, Portsmouth West travels to Wheelersburg to defend their SOC crown.
It's week 10, you're not going to want to miss this. Gridiron Glory starts right now.
Welcome to Gridiron Glory Season 24. I'm your host, Grayson Wolf. It's the end of Week 10, which means the clock has struck midnight for area high school football teams. The regular season hay is in the barn in the next half hour. Although a lot of the Week 11 matchups are still unofficial, we'll give you everything we know in terms of playoff seeding. And at the end of tonight's episode, I'll reveal the 14 players that will have a chance to be named Gridiron Glory Player of the Year. But before then, we have 5 Showtime games to get through, all of them with huge playoff seeding implications, and our game of the week featuring an SOC title game. We kick off our show in the MBL Small as West Muskingum was looking to take home their first conference title since 2005 and their first 9-win season since 2009. Bryce Tinson is in studio with more on the Tornadoes.
Grayson, this was a program that won just 7 games in the entire 2010s decade. Now they're just 1 win away from just their 4th MVL title in school history. But this was the expectation since their 2nd place finish last year.
I've been coaching for a long time, and very rarely do we come in and really talk about championships from the beginning. It's kind of always a goal that's in the back of the mind of, hey, we want to be able to compete, at a high level. But really, with this group, we started talking way back in the spring of, hey, our goal next season is going to be, MVL champs.
I could listen to Coach Brownrigg talk about the culture turnaround for hours. What do you say we get to some football?
Hit us with it, Bryce.
We're going to start with a couple of other things on the line for senior night. Clinching a home playoff game for just the 2nd time in program history, and the MVL single-season touchdown record. Rasheed Sasay came in tonight sitting just 1 score shy of the record of 36. This score would tie it. Oh yeah, that's number 60 on the career too. Ensuing Meadowbrook drive, Justice Huey gonna fake it, fake the give, roll to his left. Oh my goodness! Hold on a second, I gotta pick my jaw up off the floor. Are you kidding me? Sasay's gonna take this back to the crib for number 37. Grayson, you're looking at the new MVL record holder. He's got to be on that finalist list. He's not done yet either. He's going to take this pitch, and he's going to cut back. Remember when I said it was too easy for him? It is getting ridiculous at this point. This is the 3rd of 4 touchdowns on the night as the Tornadoes clinch home field next week and sole possession of the MVL title.
So as we saw, another huge night for Rasheed Sasay. And with it being senior night, it's got to be extra special.
Grayson, it's a huge testament to all the work he's put in the offseason. When I went to practice this week and talked to him, he said that this moment meant a lot. Talking about 39 touchdowns in a season, he's averaging about 1 touchdown every 5 touches. I mean, that's unbelievable. Even had a defensive score tonight. Amazing.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Sasay, but tell me about some other guys that stepped up.
Got to talk about Jake Anton. 145 yards passing, 83 rushing. You see 76 of them came on this run alone. 3 total touchdowns. And you also got to talk about Carter Winland, the running back / fullback do-it-all guy. 73 yards on the ground and a score. And then talk about the lethal duo on the outside, Carter Smith, Connor Hill. 100 yards receiving combined between the 2 of them and a touchdown. Great for Jake Anton to set up that passing game.
The West End defense gave up 56 points to Coshocton last week, but tonight it seemed like they buttoned it up.
Coach Brownrigg challenged this defense after basically the worst game that defense has played in his tenure at West End. They played disciplined defense all night long. All hats to the ball were flying around, only gave up 123 yards of total offense. Now here's how the small school division finished. Coach Brownrigg making a case for Coach of the Year after bringing home the title. Morgan finishes 2nd after a 3rd place finish last year. New Lex falls to 3rd place in their title defense season. And despite the 3-0 start, Crooksville is unable to pick up a conference win. This West End turnaround is one of those stories that reminds me why I love this sport and why I love this job.
Making me emotional, Bryce. I love it too. Thanks for your great work tonight. Now, I told you at the beginning of the episode that we'd take a look at all of the playoff matchups the 740 would see next week, so I brought a friend along to help me out with that. Cameron Nupp will be with us all night talking playoffs.
Grayson, it's time for these teams to get their report card. We've got 7 playoff regions to get through to find out if and who our 740 teams will play in round 1. Ironton will begin their road back to Canton as the #1 seed in Region 19. Fairland comes in right behind them as the 2 seed. Wheelersburg has continued to climb up the region. Portsmouth West has remained in the middle of the pack, while New Lexington and Portsmouth are back in the back half of that region, while Ironton and Fairland and Harvest Prep will be in a gauntlet.
In that region, Cam, hopefully we get to see some 7-4 matchups in the next few weeks and have one of them make it out of that region. Thanks so much, Cam. Can't get enough high school football on Friday night? Well, then follow all of our social media accounts from Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Watch back any episode at any time on the WOUB PBS YouTube, and make sure you catch all written content at woub.org/gridiron. Last week, we saw Nelsonville, York drop their TVC Ohio title game with Vinton County, and this week they traveled down the road to Athens to face off with the Bulldogs for second place. TVC reporter Haley Hollinger takes us through the matchup.
Grayson, these teams are just 13 minutes away from each other, and for the last 4 years, the Bulldogs have been winless against Nelsonville York, as well as without the Doc Warner Trophy. And believe me, they were hungry. We'll start in the second quarter where the Bulldogs' bite finally caught up to their bark. Braden Young went for 51 yards to bring his team within reach of the red zone. Pero finished the drive with a 1-yard punch to put Athens up 7-0. For about 12 seconds. Makai Williams pitched the ball to Gavin Richards right out of the gate, and Richards waltzed right up to the Bulldogs' door, running all 62 yards on his own. A little later in the second quarter, Athens punts and the Buckeyes fumble the recovery, giving the Dogs a second chance. And Juicebox, also known as Leo Martin, rebounds the rock to put the Dogs up again. The Bulldogs got to bury the bone for good, winning 19-13. And I can't even begin to describe the atmosphere in Joe Burrow Stadium. You'll have to take a look for yourself.
Outstanding effort. You worked really hard for a long period of time, and this is your payday.
This is an amazing victory for Athens, and what really allowed them to lock it up was their pacing.
Yeah, we see a lot of football week in and week out, and we usually see a huddle on the offensive side, but you told me that wasn't the case in Athens tonight.
No, it was not, and there's a lot to unpack here, Grayson, so I'm just going to go ahead and tell you all about it. First, the pacing, like you mentioned, Athens head coach Nathan White helped set the pace for his team all night long. His clock management was impeccable. At the end of the second quarter, they went on a 2-minute drill, and this is where the guys really stopped meeting before the play, and it wore the Nelsonville defense out. They did the same thing in the third quarter. The first 5 minutes were all theirs, and they were able to get a touchdown out of it. Stalling where necessary in the fourth was a big deal for them to help them take home the win. And who better to help you gain a few yards here and there but Alex Pero? He was a workhorse all night long, and of course, Braden Young's right-hand man. You need to get a couple here and there, hand it to him. He had 39 carries for 212 yards as well as 2 touchdowns.
So Haley, the Bulldogs win shook up the TVC Ohio standings. Take us through it.
Grayson, with the win, Athens was able to secure second, putting them just behind Vinton County, who beat Wellston tonight to fully clinch the TVC Ohio title.
So Athens with the great win. If you asked me at the beginning of the year if they would finish second, I would have said you were crazy. Thanks for your great work tonight, Haley. Coming into tonight, we knew Athens had clinched a playoff spot, but Cam, where do they stand seeding-wise?
Yeah, the Bulldogs may have gotten the win tonight, but it'll be a little tougher of a road ahead. Bloom Carroll will be the 5 seed and will have a much tougher route out of Region 11. Jackson has once again secured a top 4 seed, while Tri-Valley's excellent season has propelled the Scotties into the 6th seed. John Glenn, Miami Trace, Athens, and Marietta will all hit the road next week. Athens and Marietta will have the toughest test, facing the best of Region 11.
Thanks, Cam. Federal Hawking have played 3 varsity games this year. Doesn't sound like much, but for the Lancers, it's a great step in the right direction for a program trying to get off the ground. Features reporter Dylan Westmeyer joins us with the story.
Grayson, it's been a while, and man, am I glad to be back and talking about a team that I know is near and dear to your heart. Let's take the 20-minute drive into Stewart and check in on those Federal Hawking Lancers.
The Federal Hawking Lancers have struggled to support a football team over the past few years, and not even having a team last season altogether. The Lancers, however, are back this season, and head coach Cody Mason spoke on why this group is different.
The commitment. A lot of these boys are putting in a huge amount of commitment when it comes to this.
Federal Hawking has played 4 games so far this season, taking on 2 JV opponents and 2 varsity matchups. The schedule came out this way since many of the athletes needed to learn the sport.
Not having much experience, and then numbers-wise and everything like that. And I think it's really great to have those varsity games because then it teaches kids that no matter the age, they can play with whoever lines up across for them.
With football back in federal hawking, the fans are so excited to have their Friday night lights back.
Excited! Yeah, football, baby.
I'm always excited to perform, and I think I speak for most of the band when I say we're excited to perform in front of everyone this year.
With this season coming to an end, Coach Mason spoke on the plans for the future.
Leaning towards next year, doing another independent schedule, gaining people that are still, again, in our little situation where we're struggling field or just struggling and everything, again, to build our numbers, build out and be ready. But I'm hoping in the future to be back in the TVC.
Federal Hawking won their matchup tonight 34-0 to finish up their season. For a full recap, check out our social media and the WOUB website.
So happy for the Lancers. Thanks, Dylan. Speaking of the Lancers, they are the first team highlighted in our digital rundown. We'll also check on 4 regions during the rundown, but it won't be me taking that honor. It'll be Cameron Nupp.
Hey Grayson, this week's digital rundown features 8 teams looking to end their regular season on a high note. We've got 4 games for you this week, including a heated rivalry, an SVC matchup with playoff seeding on the line, and those upstart Lancers. Dylan let you know the final. Let's take you out to Stewart for Federal Hawking Showdown with Parkersburg Central Catholic. 3rd and short for the Lancers, but Ty Walker wants it all. He catches the toss, and look out, he's got some room to run. Almost caught from behind, but he wills his way over the line for the touchdown. Great to see the Lancers back on the gridiron. Moving over to the NBL, big division for Maysville and Philo. Maysville driving, they're going to hand it off, but watch number 44, Drew Wright. Give me that. He rips it right out of the hands of the ball carrier for the turnover. Electric's trying a field goal now. Good snap, ball down, but it's blocked at the line. It bounces right into the arms of Wesley Armstead. Not quite a Chris Davis moment, but it's a 49-yard return. Maysville gets the victory 24-7. Zane Trace welcoming in Paint Valley for the SVC finale. First quarter, Bearcats driving, but Zane Trace, that defense comes up big. Multiple half on the ball, and it comes out. Pioneers have it. Bearcats trying to finish off the drive, and look at this. Hey diddle diddle, Braylon Robertson up the middle. That's 6. Zane Trace would come away with the victory though, 34-31. With a win tonight, Zane Trace is locked into the 4 seed in Region 20, according to Joe Itel. The Pioneers will likely face, sorry for that, we don't know exactly who they're going to face yet. In Region 24, Paint Valley can be as high as a 4 seed or as low as the 6 seed. It's unsure who they'll be playing right now, and it could be a wide range of teams. It's a battle of the bridge for Fort Fry and Waterford. The Wildcats looked like they're going in for the opening score. Hayden Jones hit as he throws. It's tipped up in the air, and Sebastian Huck comes down with the pick. Jones didn't get gun shy though. He's going to go ahead and roll out to his right here, and he finds Max Robinson, who high points this ball, makes the catch for the first down. That game was scoreless at the half, but Fort Fry gets the win, 16-0. In Region 23, the Cadets will get 2 home playoff games with a 3 seed. Nelsonville York will likely play at Boston Field one more time, but could drop as low as 9. Trimble will move on, but they'll have to hit the road as a 10-15 seed. Coal Grove and Rock Hill are also safely in. In Region 27, Eastern still has an outside shot for that 1st seed with a win over Southern tomorrow night, but the Tornadoes will be playing for their lives. A win is the only way they get into the playoffs. Waterford can fall anywhere from a 6 to a 10 seed and is holding out hope for a home game.
Thanks, Cam. We know Week 10 is all about last-minute playoff positioning, and this game had just that. Hillsborough and McLean are 2 teams looking to lock up playoff spots. Zach Mothersbaugh is here to break down this late-season FAC bout.
This is a win-and-you're-in situation for the McLean Tigers, a program looking for their first playoff berth ever outside of the 2020 season. Grayson, this team has struggled mightily against the FAC since its inception in 2017. The Tigers were 2-32 all time going into tonight, which makes it hard to finish the season with a good record, and they haven't since 2012, their last time over 500. But they have a chance tonight. A win puts them at 6-4 and in the playoffs. And the only thing in their way is a Hillsborough team with just one conference loss on the season, but this Tiger team is on the prowl for a playoff berth. Opening kick sees Nick Burns find an opening, and he looks to create a spark early, but he has it punched out from behind by Riley Cummins, and McLean sets themselves up in great field position in Hillsborough territory. Now quick fourth down. Drake Stapleton takes the QB Kiefer off the right side, and whew, get off me, he says to the DB. Now still scoreless late first half, and Stapleton chucks one cross body, and you just know the coaches are going, no, 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 yes, yes, yes. Big completion to Noah Sykes, and we've got something cooking in Greenfield. And who else but Andrew Potts to cap off the drive as he finds a crease up the middle to give the Tigers a 7-0 halftime lead, which will turn into a 21-13 victory for McLean.
Zach, so you said if they got the win, they'd be in the playoffs. They got the win, they're not in the playoffs. How'd they get it done tonight?
Well, I'd say if you're going to stop Hillsborough, you got to stuff Austin Barrett, and they did. 8 rushes, 19 yards on the day for Barrett, and the passing game also was fairly open all day. Stapleton just 5 for 15 on the day, but you see a lot of open receivers throughout the entire game. So for Drake Stapleton, you see his incompletion down the middle here. He did have a little bit of separation. Passes maybe a little bit behind him, but he's going to have to find these open receivers as he does here. Hits them in stride, gets a big play, and they're moving, and this is when they scored the touchdown on that drive. So this has to happen in the playoffs for them.
Yeah, as for Hillsborough, tough loss with a chance to split the conference title, but they will be playing football next week too.
Absolutely, and speaking of Austin Barrett, I think they're going to need to work off him a lot better. You saw a failed throw out to the right, and now a failed pass here. The offense has to open a lot more with Austin Barrett, and it just didn't seem to happen for them. Now they tried to stop Andrew Potts, and they were pretty good in the first half, but they got to do it in the second half or in the next week.
Yeah, Andrew Potts and McLean take care of business tonight. A lot of FAC teams in the playoffs. You love to see it. Thanks so much, Zach. Cam, FAC teams are all over the place in terms of playoff regions. Try and take us through it.
Grayson, Hillsborough and Washington Courthouse are both safely in for Week 11. Hillsborough is our lone team in Region 12 right now. Joe Idle has them somewhere between the 11 seed and the 13 seed following their loss. Their opponent could be one of 4 teams as of now. In Region 16, Unioto is locked into that 2 seed. They'll play McLean, Dunbar, or Urbana. Washington Courthouse will be an 11 or a 12 seed as of right now. Waverly sits at 10 currently, but could be as high as a 9 seed or as low as an 11. McLean is anywhere between a 13 and a 15.
Cam, thanks so much for taking it through the FAC for us. Now taking a look at fan vote, 56% of you guys thought Hillsborough was going to take that matchup that we just went through. Make sure to cast your vote every Thursday night on our Instagram story to choose who you think will win. As for our next game, a whopping majority of you guys took Galley Academy as they traveled to South Point. So our next game takes us there in the OVC, where South Point hosted Galley Academy as the Pointers were trying to hold on to their playoff lives. Reporter Maria Manessi is here to tell us all about the Pointers and Blue Devils.
Grayson, this South Point team is looking for its first winning season since 2013 and its first time making the playoffs in 30 years. But the Pointers have to overcome one last hurdle, Galley Academy, a team they haven't beat since 1996. Their South Point is getting ready for this OVC clash. On the opening drive, QB Ethan Hunt connects with Gage Chapman, but Kenyon Franklin comes in with a big hit, causing Chapman to lose the ball, and Wes Saunders is there for the recovery. Hudson Chamblin then capitalizes from 2 yards out to get Galley Academy on the board first, 7-0. On the next drive, the Pointers try to get going on offense, but Blaine Freeman loses the ball, and the Blue Devils are there for the recovery. Later, Kenyon Franklin makes his way to the end zone from 12 yards out to extend the Blue Devils' lead 14-0. South Point looking to respond on the next drive, but Eli Wilburn fumbles on the return, and Galley Academy takes over. The Pointers continue to struggle to get going on offense, but for Hudson Chamblin, that wasn't a problem. He takes it 84 yards to the house. The Raindrops even spotlighting him on this play. Galley Academy went on to shut out South Point 28-0.
So Maria, despite the loss tonight, South Point still found a lot more success this year than they have in past.
Although this loss means South Point did not secure a winning season, they still finished 5-5, which is their best record since 2013. This also means they earn a playoff spot for the first time since 1991, outside of the 2020 season.
And as for the game itself, it seemed like Galley Academy proved to be too much early on.
From the gate, the Blue Devils took advantage of sloppy gameplay from the Pointers. We saw earlier the turnover on the first drive of the game. After that, South Point could really never get anything started. That plus the Blue Devils' edgy defense created a recipe for disaster for the Pointers.
It'll be interesting to see what they can do. Thanks so much, Maria. Ken, we have a lot of Southeast Ohio teams in Region 15, including Galley Academy.
Yeah, the Blue Devils have had a great year. Let's see where the computers have them seated. Sheridan is projected for an MVL showdown against Philo to kick off the playoffs at the 2nd seed. Galley Academy starts their playoff run against Licking Valley at the 9 seed. TVC Ohio champs Vinton County are projected to finish their historic season at the 11 seed. They'll start their playoff campaign next week against St. Clairsville. As for Morgan, they've got to wait until Sunday as they're projected to be tied for the final playoff spot with Carrollton.
That's enough from you. You've helped a lot tonight, but that's going to be it. Thanks so much for your great work. The atmosphere at Wheelersburg tonight was incredible. Had some chilly weather and a little bit of rain, but that was not stopping some rabid fans from going crazy all night long.
All right, so when we were at Wheelersburg at Jackson, there was a person in the student section that said she's usually the pirate at home games. Was that you?
Yes, that was me!
She said yes. I don't know how loud she is, but it is her. What's your name?
Emma Smith!
The Portsmouth West student section. What's your name?
Ashton Reynolds.
Ashton, down 14-0. How are we feeling?
Listen, I'm not very confident right now, but I'm never going to give up on my boys. They're my best friends. This is my first year I haven't played in a while, man. I wish I was out there helping them right now. I wish I could be out there, but I have faith in them.
So I saw you up on the ladder above the P West fans in the fire engine. Are you afraid of heights?
No, not at all!
Was it shaky at all?
I mean, yeah, it was pretty safe.
It was safe. Okay, good. Can we see your noisemaker?
Yeah. This is tied. You got Bird got the milk jugs. This is kind of a knockoff, you know. West Side uses the cowbells. I couldn't find one, so I got this Tide bottle right here.
I got you. So you can't go milk carton because that's Wheelersburg's thing. So you came with the detergent.
Yeah, detergent's how it's gonna be. It does the same thing basically, you know.
I like that. I do something a little different. All right, so I told Emma in week 3 if when we came to Wheelersburg, if she was in the mascot outfit, I was gonna give it to her. Emma, Gridiron Glory Media Day towel, fan of the week. Congratulations.
Shorter fan of the week tonight because of everything else we have to cover, but still a fun time at Wheelersburg. Shout out to the Pirates for the great hospitality. Our game of the week features 2 teams locked into the playoffs, but Portsmouth West and Wheelersburg played for an SOC2 title tonight after a barn burner a year ago. SOC savant Aiden Crowley was out at the game, and he'll take us through this highly anticipated matchup.
Yeah, Grayson, rain or shine, you were not pulling me from this one. Berg has just 3 conference losses in the last 10 years. And last year's loss to Portsmouth West came in heartbreaking fashion, 14-7. It's tough to put into words how much this game truly means to both sides, so I'm not even going to try. I'm going to let the captains on both sides tell you how ready they are for battle.
I speak for everybody at Wheelersburg, football players, non-football players, community members, alumni. SOC championships is what we strive for.
I mean, this is what legacy we're going to leave behind. Everybody's going to remember SOC champs.
Oh, you know, everybody's down us.
I just can't wait. I just got that grit feeling about me. We're locked in.
They're not intimidated by, visiting environments.
They're not beating us on our own turf.
When it comes to like big games, like big time players that make big time plays.
Better ship ready to play, because we'll be ready.
Grayson, do you think Creed Warren showed up ready to play? I got an answer for you, absolutely. On the first play of scrimmage for the Pirates, he takes the handoff and takes it 73 yards before fans could even get in their seats. What an opening statement for Bird, 7-0. Later in the quarter, the Pirates show you they can get it done driving down the field as well. Creed Warren with the second effort for his second score of the game. Let's check it out one more time, and yup, that falls across, 14-0 Pirates. But you know it just takes one big play for the Senators, and they find it. Mason Parker breaks one off for 29 yards to pull it to within 1 score. But just before half, Bird capitalizes on the extra possession and finds the end zone with 10 seconds left to go into the locker room up 21-7. The Pirates use the wind in their sails to coast in the second half. Creed Warren, are you not entertained? He found the end zone 2 more times, and if you lost count, this guy's got you covered. 4 TDs for Warren, and the Pirates race the Jolly Roger on another SOC title, 35-7. And Grayson, I don't know about you, but I think Bird took that loss last year personally with this wire-to-wire championship.
Yeah, Aiden, what a performance from the Pirates, and man, how good was Creed Warren tonight?
Grayson, Warren was everything for the Pirates tonight. He put the boys on his back with 160 yards and 4 scores, but don't forget about the big boys up front. At practice, the point of emphasis was winning at the line of scrimmage, and Bird dominated that aspect of the game. They imposed their will, and it showed on the scoreboard.
We heard a lot about Jeffrey Bishop going into the game, but not in the highlight call. How were the Pirates able to bottle him up?
It was classic Wheelersburg defense. They rallied to the ball carrier in waves. Every time he got the ball in space, there were 4 or 5 Pirates in his face. Besides the 30-yard run, they did an amazing job of limiting the big play.
Yeah, we saw how this win impacted seeding earlier in the show. What do you think about the matchups for these two teams?
Both sides secured a home game in their first-round matchup, and I expect both squads to handle business. These are two teams that were in the regional semis a year ago. Berg has shown they have an extra gear when it comes to postseason play, and Portsmouth West, they still have talent everywhere on the field.
Yeah, Aiden, all week we were expecting this game to be really competitive, but Wheelersburg flexes their muscles, and they get a huge win to continue gaining momentum into the playoffs. Get home safe. So now let's take a look at how the SOC 2 standings shaped up this season. We just saw Berg reclaim its spot on the SOC throne, followed by Portsmouth West and Waverly, who finished above 500 in SOC play. Valley won in an upset over Minford. Northwest finishes 1-5 in the first year in the division. No top place tonight, but we have something better. Every year, thousands of players lace up their cleats in the 740, doing everything in their power to put their best foot forward week in and week out. 10 weeks later, and 14 of them have a chance to be named Gridiron Glory Season 24 Player of the Year. Newton Hoops has led Unioto to a 9-win season and conference title. He's thrown for 800 yards and 19 touchdowns at a 60% clip. Peyton Jackson of Fairland is the leader of the Dragons' fast-paced, high-flying offense. He's been a 70% passer this season with 27 total touchdowns. Gavin Richards is a stud out at Nelsonville, York. The running back has accumulated 862 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns for the Buckeyes' 7-win season. Cade Wolford is a guy you've heard a bunch of from us this year, and the Jackson running back has run for 1,200 yards and 28 total touchdowns. Rashid Sisse's numbers speak for themselves. 1,600 yards combined on the ground and through the air, with 34 total touchdowns and 48 tackles on defense. Jaden Ball was the one returning starter on the Bloom Carroll offensive line, and he is the key that makes that Bulldog offense roll. He's a beast. Brandon Oldacre is another big fellow we have from the trenches on this list. He has 3 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and get this, 8 forced fumbles. You need the ball, call Oldacre. Jace Hurd might not be the biggest player on the field, but his play sure does pack a punch. The Waverly running back has 1,500 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns. Sean Terry has been on go mode since week 1. He caught our attention in Ironton's win over Wheelersburg, and he's now up to 1,000 yards of total offense and 10 touchdowns. Logan Neiswinger is one of the most underrated players in our coverage. The Morgan quarterback has accumulated over 2,400 yards and 34 touchdowns. If Jaden Ball is the key, then Dylan Armitrout is the engine itself. The running back for Bloom Carroll has over 1,000 all-purpose yards and 15 total touchdowns. Graham Baker of Fort Fry is a game wrecker. The defensive lineman for the Cadets has 16 tackles for loss and 6 sacks as he leads a stout defense. Kenyon Franklin is the do-it-all man for Gallia Academy. They line him up everywhere, and he'll eat up yards and find pay dirt any way possible. And finally, Jeffrey Bishop has been terrorizing the SOC 2. He has 15 total touchdowns on offense and an incredible 7 interceptions on defense. So there it is, the 14 best players in our coverage. Be sure to stay tuned to Gridiron Glory throughout the next few weeks as we cut the list down to 8, and then the final 5, and in week 14, we will unveil the Gridiron Glory Season 24 Player of the Year. So stay tuned to our social medias all weekend for more content on all of our games from tonight and see what games we'll be headed to next week. Can't make an announcement for Game of the Week because we're not sure what matchups we're going to get. So again, stay tuned, and stay tuned to the pregame huddle every Thursday and Friday on our Twitter and Facebook accounts. So we'll see you then next week, same time, same place. Because remember, there is nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.